So moving ahead to the Michigan State-Georgia matchup, what do you think about this game?
Man, the Georgia Michigan State, the one that matters. I think that this is definitely a game where you look on the stat line and it's just like even. It's like identical twins right here. We're ranked both 10-3 records, both 7-1 in the conference. Both have top 5 total defenses in the nation. Both have extraordinary quarterbacks. Both just are sad to be where they are. That Outback is definitely kind of a settled situation. They both perform well in their conference title games, but just couldn't get the victory. So I'm very excited. I think having played them just a few years ago maybe can bode well. We can kind of know a little bit of their schemes and what they're up to. But I think I'm just scared that I just don't want any team to just be pouting when they're going bowling. I don't want these two teams to come out flat and just be like, this game doesn't really matter, because they still have a chance to play for a lot of respect, I think, and to make a statement at the end of the season. But I'm excited.
Yeah. Obviously, Mark D'Antonio is going to have the Spartans ready. He's been doing a great job of that all year. They had that one hiccup in Nebraska, but I think that was more credit to Nebraska than failure at Michigan State's point of view. So, I think the Spartans are definitely going to be ready for the Bulldogs when it comes January 2nd. And, Michigan State has they've had a tough stretch of bowl games in the last few years, and they really need this one, to be blunt. And I think they're going to be able to do that, but they're going to have to rely heavily on those offensive weapons that they have, because they have a large amount of them this year, and they really need to spread the ball around, give everybody some love on the offensive side of the ball. We know their defense plays well. We know that Georgia's defense plays well. So it's going to come down to who can make the plays on offense. And I think Michigan State has the experience to outwit Georgia in this one. I think B.J. Cunningham, Keyshawn Martin, Keith Nickel, Kirk Cousins, all guys that have been playing for 2-3+ years at Michigan State. And I think as a unit, I think they're one of the strongest units in the country. So I think they're going to out-experience the Georgia Bulldogs.
I agree with you. And speaking of Coach D, he's always got a bag of tricks. And the bag's going to be completely open in the bowl game. Just a few flashes of that I think we saw in the Big Ten championship game, going for the 2-point conversion on an extra kick. Just things like that will definitely keep the Georgia defense guessing, maybe a little hesitant, and I think that'll definitely play into our favor. And you're right, we have tons of experience at key positions, and I think that's what you want to rely on when you have to pick yourself up, when you have to keep going, when you have to make a statement, and when you have to play a team that you're not completely familiar with. You rely on that senior leadership, and I think definitely an X factor in this is going to be the Kirk Cousins to B.J. Cunningham combo that has been deadly all year. B.J. Cunningham, he has more receiving yards. He has double the receiving yards than the top Georgia wide receiver. It just goes to show that connection all year. Yeah. So I think that's going to be a huge X factor. Le'Veon Bell, boom. He's been dancing his way to being a supreme running back in the nation. And I think that he's just going to continue to dance. And the offensive line has just really gelled the last 4 or 5 games of the year.
Yeah.
And so I think with that combination, that's the beauty of the Michigan State offense, I think, is you have the B.J. Cunningham, Kirk Cousins combo. You have the wide receivers, and you have the running game, too. It's a beautiful compliment.
Yeah. I really think this is a must-win game for Michigan State for the future. With what we were just talking about a minute ago, with the branding of teams and the BCS looking at teams who've done bigger things in history. I think a win in this game is really going to help Michigan State going forward, and maybe next year or a few years down the road when Michigan State gets into another situation where the BCS is coming knocking at their door, maybe they'll be a little more prepared with their body of work. If they can win this one.
Yeah.
So.
If they're going to look back at history, you like to hope that Michigan State has built a nice history, and this is definitely a good opportunity. So, last question, probably the most exciting question: prediction. What do you see our Spartans doing against the Bulldogs of Georgia?
Well, I have to answer that question by going back to the Big Ten championship game. In that game, Wisconsin was predicted to win by 9, I think it was. The defenses were projected to play well on both sides of the ball. And not that they didn't play well, but we all know what happened. It was an offensive game for 4 quarters. And I'm expecting nothing less than this one. I think Georgia's going to be the favorite going in just because of the SEC and all that and the way that they've had their way with the Big Ten. I think Georgia's going to be a heavy favorite, and I think MSU is going to come in, give them a run for their money. I think it's going to be somewhat high scoring in the mid-30 range, and I'm going to say that Michigan takes it by about 6.
Okay, Michigan takes about 6. All right, if you're the pepper, I'm going to be the salt in this situation. I think that we have a phenomenal special teams unit. You know, Mike Sadler, great punter, you know, academic All-American.
Yeah.
And so I'm excited to see. I really think that with a combination of a great special teams unit and a good defense, that we should be able to really put the Georgia Bulldog offense in precarious positions, pinning them deep, you know, putting a lot of pressure, you know, a lot of zone blitzes and just a lot of blitzes in general. And so I think that it's going to be a lower scoring affair, at least on their end. And so I'm going to say, I'm going to give it to the tune. The Spartans get the victory, probably, how about 24-10?
24-10.
Something like that. Something like that. Like they got great defenses.
Pretty much a reverse of what happened last time these two teams met in
right,
the Capital One Bowl.
We owe those guys. Good.
No Matthew Stafford this year, though.
No. Oh, well, we can do without him. He's fine with the Lions. So
yeah,
for sure. Well, that is going to do it for our Big Ten Bowl preview here in East Lansing. Thanks so much for joining, John Coffey. Thank you for your insight.
Thank you, sir.
And yes, we will be seeing you next year.